Hello everyone, my name is Cozrator, and I'm back from my LARP now. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but I'm really fucking exhausted. It was an absolute blast of a weekend. I had an amazing time, and I cannot wait to do more of that sort of stuff. I really enjoyed it. I can't even think of a way to put it into words that would do it justice, but I wanted to put a video out today, and I'm sorry it's not a vlog and not more gameplay, but hopefully if you're interested in LARP, this is still something that you'll enjoy watching. Oh, my voice really is really bad today. I did a lot of screaming over the weekend between shouting and yelling in character, and then in the moments where we swapped out and did NPC roles, playing like zombies and stuff. You know, doing like growling and all that sort of stuff that zombies do. And yeah, my voice is a bit shaky. Not quite as bad as if you remember back when I did the zombie thing at the Adelaide jail, if you were watching me back then. My voice the day after that was really bad. My voice today isn't that bad, and I think it's also a combination with hay fever, because I've had like a bit of a flare-up of that since I've gone there and come back. So hopefully that all goes away. But at this point, I'm planning on streaming tonight, the day this video goes out, for the record. If you're watching this on the Monday that this video came out, I'm planning on streaming tonight, because I said that I might not, but I would try, and I'm planning to at this point. I feel like I can manage it. We'll see how my voice holds up. I can't guarantee it'll be as long as usual, but I intend to at least do a stream, depending on how I'm feeling later. But this, how I'm feeling right now, if I continue just improving from here, I should be fine. It just may be a short one. Anyway, talking about what happened at the LARP. Oh, it was a long 3 days. It ended up starting later on the Friday than I thought, but we spent like most of the morning like getting stuff ready, making sure we're all had everything we needed for the weekend and didn't forget anything. Forgot stuff anyway, which I totally called, because I knew I would forget things no matter how much effort I put into getting ready, and that tends to happen the first time you do something like this, where you're like going away. You'll just not think about things, and then when you get there, you're like, oh yeah, that would have been really useful to bring, but I don't have one with me. So really, the only thing you can really do in that situation is just kind of, you know, try it, and then that really highlights what you forget, and you just deal with it as it comes, and then next time you know to bring that thing, that would have been really useful. I wanted to share some experiences from like a first time going to this sort of event, and sort of lessons that I learned about LARPing. Because there were some moments, being completely honest, there were some moments that I got really frustrated, and you could classify me as salty. I got kind of annoyed at parts, because I felt like I wasn't really getting to do anything at certain times. But when you go into an event with like 30 people, you can't, it's very different from tabletop role-playing. And I was going into it with a mentality of tabletop role-playing, where everything's kind of forwarded ahead by like a game master, and you kind of rely on all of your interaction and story stuff from them. So it doesn't quite work like that in LARP. Because especially in this sort of event that I went to, where there's like one person game mastering, like there are rules markers around the place where you can ask questions about how things work, or how you can do a certain thing. But there's only like one person like running everything and progressing the story forward, and they're trying to do that for like 30 people at once. So you can't be in the center of attention all the time. Whereas when you're in a party in like a role-playing game around a table where there's only like 4 of you and one game master, you're kind of always in the limelight, so to speak. But as I say, in LARP, that's very different. It doesn't work like that at all, especially in a large event where there's just there's no way the GM could put everyone in the limelight all the time. There are going to be things that happen that affect certain groups, especially when there are factions in this large group. There are things that will affect one faction, or things that will only affect a small group of people at a time, and you just need to find your own fun, basically, in between. And that was a big turning point for me, realizing that, because by the end of the second day, I was exhausted. My entire body hurt. I'd been running up and down the entire field, trying to find combat when we were getting attacked. And every time I'd get there, everything would already been wiped out and I couldn't do anything. And I just felt kind of like I was useless and I wasn't doing anything. And I got kind of frustrated and I had to take some time out to just kind of like chill. But coming back into it on the third day, after talking to a few people and kind of venting a bit, I kind of came to that realization about you got to find your own fun at times, and that really changed my perspective on everything. So I highly recommend you go into it with that mentality, because you'll have a lot more fun the entire time if you think about it as you get what you put in. So if you're willing to put in the effort of being a character and interacting with other characters, then you'll get a lot more out of a LARP than you will just relying on the story to progress your character forward. Because there's a lot of fun to be had in just interacting with the other characters that are there. Like, we had a bunch of really, really funny and unique characters there, played by some really great people, and it was so much fun just interacting with them. So, little piece of advice coming from somebody who's now done an event like this: if you're planning on starting at something like that, keep that in mind. I thought it was really cool how NPCing stuff was handled, and I wanted to mention that because it gave people an opportunity to play something different from their character, and that was a lot of fun as well. And it kind of made it so, because obviously there wouldn't be enough people to handle everything. It's just a matter of things to make it seem as grand and large as it is. So there was like a system called rabbit holes, which are like little text adventures you could go on. And when you went into a rabbit hole, you would then do that little text adventure, because it would obviously take less time than actually acting it out and doing it. So like you'd spend like 40 minutes in a rabbit hole and do the text adventure, and then you'd come out and you'd go to an NPC shift for a while, and you'd like play a zombie, or you'd play like a group of people coming up and interacting with the current players that were still around, while your characters were technically like down off in the lab or something, or exploring some area that wasn't on the field, so to speak. And I thought that was really ingenious. I thought that was a really good way of handling things, because it meant that your character didn't just vanish for no reason. It was like your character's off doing something, and then you actually do the thing that your character is doing, just not physically. It's like a little text adventure, and then you get to NPC and completely wreck your friends at the same time, and it's just this really fun experience. I really don't think I can do it justice trying to explain it. But hopefully you're kind of getting the point that it was fun, and I highly recommend anyone who's interested give it a shot, because it's really something you got to try to know if you like. I reckon anyway. I wanted to recount some stories of the event, or just some highlights, so you can kind of maybe get an idea of the sort of things that happen and can happen at these at LARPs. So to give you guys some context, my character was an engineer named Glitch. He had a brother, which was played by my twin brother George, called Circuit. And we were both like Wastelanders, which in the post-apocalyptic setting of Last Hope it was called. The only difference between a Wastelander and a human is a Wastelander has like a little nanite gland, which lets them produce nanites to constantly rebuild their body, essentially giving them like faster healing and also protection against the higher background radiation of the planet of Last Hope. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the world and everything, but just to give you guys some context, that's who we are. I was an engineer and my brother was playing a like a computer hacker kineticist. He could like summon electricity with his hands and stuff. But anyway, we started our characters having no idea what was going on. We'd been like hopped up on a whole bunch of like memory repressant drug. We discovered that basically destroyed our memories of like basically our entire lives, basically giving us an excuse to have convenient amnesia of not knowing the world as well. And we started the game like at night in the dark, wandering up a hill, and we stumbled across like a body on the floor, like a person on the floor crying for help, and then we got attacked by zombies. And that was when the Rangers showed up, which are like this like security force on the planet, which go around helping people. I would liken it less to post-apocalyptic and more to dystopian future now that I've played in it and know the world a bit, because it's less like Mad Max and a lot more like a society trying to rebuild itself after a horrible thing has happened. But anyway, these Rangers are who we ended up joining, because they saved us on the mountain, and we ended up doing a bunch of stuff with them. And that was when we got to the peak of the mountain, started doing stuff around the place, and the Rangers were basically where we found our home for the entire thing, and we ended up joining the Ranger faction by the end of the event. Some of the highlights for me, in playing as Glitch anyway, were just finding out the mysteries of our past, because we kind of gave the GM a massive shout out to Shannon and the guys over at Adelaide Role Playing Community for organizing everything, and Shannon for masterminding it all. But finding out the mysteries of Glitch's past and Circuit's past was really, really fun. And just having like this mystery about us recognizing things but not remembering what they are, and then trying to figure out if we can like get any memories back. And then there were characters who could like hypnotize us and like do like memory delve stuff and get stuff out of us, which even we didn't know, and it was like written on a sheet. It was really cool. And just finding how we tied into everything that happened on the mountain, because there was this big mystery about what was going on, and there was like this facility underneath the peak, which no one knew what was going on in there. And it was interesting to play this dynamic of a character where they started out really unsure and concerned, and then slowly built up confidence as they got more of their memories back, and it kind of shaped the character into something which was in a completely different direction than I originally thought I was going to take it, but it was an absolute blast. Continuing further on that train of thought, it turned out that Glitch, when he worked in the facility, he was an engineer working down in like the power section of the facility, and he apparently had like a massive sense of humor about his work. And when the whole zombie thing happened, the facility started like sending out like robots to go fight them, but they would basically just kill anything on sight. And Glitch would like put music in the robots so that like when they were destroyed, if they harvested their like memory and like read through the files on the robot system, they would find like music files, and he programmed them to like blare music, which the facility staff didn't like, and they condemned his actions, but he justified it being like it draws in the attention of the zombies, so it's actually helping. But they were like sending out new music tracks, and this was because there was like a city which is like the main stronghold of people at the moment, I believe, and they were like playing music on the radio, but they only had so many songs, and Glitch and Circuit were getting pissed off because they were getting bored of the songs on the radio, so they're sending out new music so that they could play it on the radio. And the facility was like, this is a massive concern because what if people investigate this new music coming from the facility? They could find it, which they weren't too happy about at all. But my characters found it endlessly amusing, my brother and I, so it was really, really funny. And discovering that was like a bit of a turning point for Glitch. And another highlight was the next day, the leader of like this, like, there's like the Rangers, which I've already explained kind of. There's like another group called the Wall Runners. And they're essentially like, if you think, they're closer to like the Mad Max sort of thing, but they still don't like kill other humans and stuff like that. So they're very like, they're all like teenagers, and if you think of them closer to like bandits, but not quite as far as to like loot you and stuff like that, you're on pretty much the right track. Their leader on the peak had like this speaker which he blared music through, well, especially in combat. And on the last day, Glitch hacked his speaker and made it play some like really ridiculous things, and that was one of the highlights of Glitch's character. I reckon the funnest thing I did though the entire weekend was actually in an NPC role. We were playing an advanced strain of the zombie virus NPCs, and we were essentially, rather than being like mindless lumbering around zombie equivalent, we were like pack tactics and like, you know, using stealth, and we retained a lot of our intelligence, and that was just ridiculous. We're actually planning on doing 2 waves of those, but the first wave went so horribly wrong for the players that we decided that, yeah, probably shouldn't hit them again. We caught them completely off guard, and they weren't expecting the advanced strain, I don't think, of zombies to show up, because we got to the spawn point where the zombies would have climbed up, and we saw a couple of people wandering down into like one of the halls, like further down the hill, and we decided that as a group we would kind of gravitate over there because that's what we saw. So we kind of went stealth mode around the back of the buildings and the dorms over towards this little hall, and they left the door open. So we're just like, oh, this is great, we can just walk right in, and we just wrecked everyone in there. I think there were 3 people in there. We knocked down 2 of them and infected them. The third one had a personal shield which they activated, and normally a zombie would just keep whacking at it even though they can't hurt him, but we were a hyper intelligent strain and we're like, oh, this isn't doing anything, we should go attack other people. Now, priority wasn't to kill people, it was to infect people. So we knocked them down so they couldn't get up, like vital striking body parts so they can't use them, and infecting them. And we then left the hall, walked up the hill hiding behind trees, like darting between them, and then once we got close we just rushed them, and I'm pretty sure we infected basically everyone. We just completely destroyed them. They didn't see us coming at all. I think they were expecting like a warning sign, because normally zombies would like groan and make noise, but we didn't because we were like stealthy strain. And oh, that was so much fun. Just the looks on everyone's faces when we rushed out of like the nearby trees, not far away where they normally have time to kind of prepare and gather themselves. There were people who couldn't get their weapons out of their sheaths in time because they completely were taken by absolute surprise. That was super, super fun. And I think that moment, that was on the 3rd day, which was like my highlight day. Because if you'd asked me like the second, like towards the end of the 2nd day and maybe 2nd day night, I was kind of the opinion that, like, I did want to keep doing LARP, but that I might not do any more weekend events like this, where I'm sleeping overnight and doing those sorts of long-term events, because I was absolutely exhausted. But after the end of the third day, I'm 100% hooked. I want to do that sort of stuff again, especially with the new mentality that I've kind of discovered of how to approach it. I think the next time I do this, I'll have even more fun because of that learning experience, if that makes sense. But anyway, I've been rambling for a while now, so I'm pretty sure you guys get the point. I hope you guys are interested. If you guys have any questions at all, or are interested in LARPing or anything like that, feel free to chuck comments down below. I read everything, and I try my best to respond to everything. So if you leave questions down below, I'm happy to answer them. I'll share my experiences, and if I don't know the answer, I'll happily take it to people who do, because I've made so many friends over the last 3 days and the lead up to this event. So if I don't know it, one of them surely does, and I'm 100% happy to do that. And I would love to see some of you guys maybe come to an event in the future, and we can go do that together. I think that would be really, really fun. So anyway, as I said, I've been rambling a lot. Keep that in mind. Feel free to shout at me in social media as well. Send me through your questions over there, my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. I'll happily do that. I want to try and get some photos for you guys. I know the Game Master took a bunch of photos, so I'm going to try and find or get a hold of those, and I'll chuck them up on social media because I said that I'd try. And I didn't get a chance to take many pictures at all myself personally. I was just completely flat out the entire time. But I will try and see what I can do, so you guys can get a visual look of what LARPing looks like. And yeah, anyway, as I said, rambling, I need to stop. I will keep going. I could talk about this for hours. So I'm gonna wrap the video up. Here we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. Remember, you can check out my channel for more videos that I've done, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!